The title fight in the ARCA Racing Series down to two young guns. Grant Enfinger won at Elko in June, 5 wins this year, trailing Mason Mitchell by 25 points, 5 races to go. Last month at Winchester, Mitchell denied on the last turn by rookie Brandon Jones. Now Mitchell's finally won his first and taken over the points lead. Jones back too, gunning for his 3rd win in 3 ARCA tries. It'll be a Wisconsin slugfest. The ARCA Racing Series is next on CBS Sports Network. Today on the CBS Sports Spectacular, it's the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Live from Madison International Speedway in Wisconsin, it's the Herr's Live Life with Flavor 200, presented by Calypso Lemonade. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Madison International Speedway. I'm Rick Benjamin. Former ARCA Racing Series champ Andy Hillenberg is alongside Dr. Dick Berger with our pit road coverage here this afternoon. Storyline of the weekend so far, even though the points chase is tight, it's been weather. No qualifying yesterday because of rain, Andy. That is a tough wild card for all these teams.
Yes, it is, and they washed out the second practice as well, so we're going to be watching for a couple of things. The crew chief staying on top of these track conditions with no rubber being on the racetrack early in the race, and all these young guys scattered throughout the field with the lineup being jumbled. They're going to be pretty wild here these first 50 laps, Rick.
Going to be a lot of fun today at Madison. Because of the lack of qualifying, we line up according to car owner points, so the 2 title contenders are on the front row, but after that, we've got some fast race cars and good young drivers behind the wheel who will start deeper in the field. Let's talk to our pole sitter and points leader downstairs to Dr. Dick Berger.
Mason Mitchell leads the points, and yesterday he was fastest in the only practice here in Madison. Question is, you start from the pole, but do you want more to win this race this afternoon or to beat Enfinger, who's second in points?
We want to do both, but obviously we want to go out there and lead as much laps as we can because then it gives us more bonus points, and just try to finish ahead of the 90 because that's the ultimate goal at the end of the year is to win the championship. And we want to go out there and win more races, and we're going to put the pressure on and try to win more races, but the championship's the big picture.
Good luck to you this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The thoughts of our pole sitter, Mason Mitchell. Grant Enfinger will start alongside. It's been a great season for these 2 drivers so far. More to come when we return in a moment to Madison International Speedway.
ARCA Racing Series on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. By Calypso Lemonade, naturally flavored lemonades produced with pure cane sugar, natural flavors, and real lemon bits. And by Ansel. Ansel protects.
Ready now for our national anthem. To sing for us today, Blake Rain, the star of the new major motion picture, The Identical.
And now, we are proud to present Hollywood actor and musical star from the motion picture The Identical, Blake Rain, for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Blake Rain, the star of the upcoming movie The Identical, major motion picture, one of our major partners here today. It'll be in theaters September the 5th. Be sure and check it out, theidentical.com, if you'd like to know more. Ashley Judd, Joe Pantoliano, Blake Rain, Ray Liotta among the stars in that movie coming up in major motion pictures opening theaters nationwide on September 5th. A few moments ago, Dr. Dick Bergeron had a chance to chat with our outside pulsar.
All year long, Grant Enfinger has been the guy to beat in ARCA competition. Right now, he's sitting pretty. He's won more races than anybody else this year. He's led more laps than anybody else this year. And he's going to start on the outside of the front row. How bad do you want to win this thing today?
Really bad. So we've definitely been blessed with really good cars all year. So GMS Racing brought us another rocket ship, I think. So I can't say enough about Allegiant Travel, K-Side Motor Honey, Worth USA, everybody that's made this possible. So obviously we had a little weather yesterday. Didn't get a whole lot of practice, but the practice we did do, the car felt really good. So I'm looking forward to today.
Do you run conservatively? Do you run hard and threaten the car?
We're running hard, so our goal is to win the race. You know, we get to Kansas, maybe we'll have a different game plan, but right now it's to win races. So I know it's kind of getting to the nitty-gritty in the points championship, but that's our focus. Our crew chief, our leader, Pickle, that's his mentality, that's my mentality. So that's what we're going with.
We wish you the best. Thank you.
The thoughts of Fairhope, Alabama native Grant Enfinger, who waxed the field in our opener this summer on the CBS Sports Spectacular at Elko International in Minnesota. All right, let's take a look at some quick facts about the ARCA Racing Series. Founded more than 60 years ago, it's a 20-race season. Andy Hillenberg, the thing I've always loved about ARCA Racing, you compete on every type of racetrack there is.
A big variety and a true champion.
Absolutely. The champion this season, whether it's Enfinger, Mitchell, or third place in points, 10-time champion Frank Hill, who's got an outside shot. They will have earned this title certainly, because coming up you've got more short track action, one more dirt track, and a couple of super speedways. Time to give the command to fire the motors here at Madison.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, here to give the command for today's Herr's Live Life with Flavor 200, Vice President of National Sales for Herr Foods, Mark Mathis, and his son, Brett Mathis.
Drivers, start your engines!
It is the Herr's Live Life with Flavor 200. We're glad to have you with us here today at Madison International Speedway. Command given by Mark Mathis, National Sales Manager for Herr Foods, and his son, Brett. When we come back, cars rolling up onto the racetrack. We'll get set to go racing here at Madison. Back at Madison International Speedway, Madison, Wisconsin. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Today from Madison International, the Herr's Live Life with Flavor 200 presented by Calypso Lemonade and the major motion picture The Identical in theaters September 5th. You heard Blake Rain sing the anthem a few moments ago. TheIdenticalMovie.com is the website. Andy Hillenberg, weather has been one of the storylines all weekend here at Madison. A lot of rain yesterday, washed out qualifying. Second practice, warm today and humid, and a little overcast.
Yeah, but it's going to make the track greasy, and not having the rubber from yesterday getting washed off. We mentioned in the beginning there, these crew chiefs are really going to be scratching their heads here for probably 50 to 100 laps.
And there will be a competition caution coming up too, right?
Yes, it's going to fly somewhere between lap 50 and 60, regardless of what happens before lap 50. So if we get a caution on lap 45, you might see some guys come in, stop, and then try to stay out.
Let's take a look at our starting lineup for the Herr's Live Life with Flavor 200. Mitchell on the pole, Enfinger alongside the two title contenders. 10-time champion Frank Kimmel, winless so far this year, but third in points, third in the Menards 44. Back to row 5, I'm looking forward to seeing Ben Rhodes. He's the K&N East NASCAR points leader.
And ran 9th on the truck race at Bristol the other night.
Thomas Prater outside row 6 in the DK Locke Chevrolet. Brad Smith, Brennan Poole in the Identical Movie 66. They ought to be strong today.
That should be good. Brad Smith, Con Nicolopoulos, and Will Kimmel.
And we take a look at the rest of the starting lineup. We've got 28 cars ready to go for you today. James Swanson and Roger Carter. Kyle Weatherman and the Rouleau Brothers Ford should be a contender.
Looking for some big things from Kyle. He had a tough break at Winchester, but should bounce back good.
Tom Hessert in the 13th row in that 72 from Cunningham Motorsports. And last year's winner here, Kyle Benjamin, in his own family-owned 37. Dr. Dick Bergeron about set to put the field under green. What do you think about today's action?
I think the majority of the contenders to win this thing today, Rick, are people who are under the age of 25. And then there is Frank Kimmel, 52 years old, driving car number 44. He has not won yet this year. However, he has won more ARCA races than anybody in history. Kimmel starts third.
And we'll talk to Frank, Andy, before we got going this morning. I said, what's been the issue? What's been the problem? They made a crew chief change a few weeks ago. Frank said, I think we're really starting to get better and better and better every week.
Well, they are. And I mean, you know, with him changing teams this year, it takes a while to gel. No matter how much experience you bring to the table, it needs to fit in with that team. And I think we're starting to see it here right at the late end of the season.
One of the charms of Madison International Speedway, that huge oak tree that's outside turn 1. Our camera able to look past it down the front straightaway, but you don't see that at many racetracks. A lovely green branch out there over the racetrack as well. Glad to have you with us this afternoon on CBS Sports Network. We're live in Madison, Wisconsin at Madison International Speedway. Up front, points leader Mason Mitchell in the 98. Finally got off the schneid, won his first career ARCA race earlier this summer. He'll take the field to green in just a moment alongside Grant Edfinger. 5 victories this season. Change of teams since we last saw you in Winchester. Now part of GMS Racing. That's the Allegiant Chevrolet.
And these guys are racing. I mean, they've got to run 200 laps today, but I mean, the leader of this first lap is getting 5 points. So I know that's in both their minds, and here they come.
Mitchell leads him to green. Green flag is in the air. Mason Mitchell in the start box should be okay. Your leader down in turn 1. Kimmel settles into third. The 77 of Anderson Bowen and the 52 of young Matt Tiff. That's Ken Schrader's Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet.
They start out here single file. The middle of the pack, it's really wild action. There's those 5 points that we mentioned earlier. Now it's a 30-point lead.
Grant Edfinger quickly starting to sniff behind the leader in that 90 car. Edfinger so strong on the short tracks. The team change didn't seem to set him back at all.
No, we're starting to see a little bumping and shoving already. This is a little bit earlier than I expected. I feel like we were getting it as these guys come through the field. Grant starting to put a little pressure on there. Like I say, he needs to get up there and lead that lap and call it a wash.
Mason Mitchell out in front from West Des Moines, Iowa. Troubles for the 0 car. Looks like that car will be headed to pit road already. That's Con Nicolopoulos from Columbus, Michigan. The car's already on pit road in the early going here at Madison. It's the leader in the 98. Edfinger in the 92nd. Kimmel in the Menards Toyota is third in the 44. Bowen in the Cunningham Dodge, the 77, running in 4th position in front of Tiff. And then Austin Wayne Self, and there's the 68. Will Kimmel's machine on pit road. Problems early for that car as well. Will Kimmel, nephew of Frank's, started according to owner points 16th today, but it looks like it'll be a short afternoon for the 68 car. Meantime, leaders are on the backstretch.
You see what Anderson Bowen can do here. If you remember that first lap, he had mechanical failure, got in an accident there, didn't really get a chance to show him. And I think we're going to get to see something here because he's maintaining his spot here pretty good just in front of that Kenny Schrader car, Matt Tiff.
Tiff in at 52 in 5th position, the 22 of Austin Wayne Self sitting in the 6th position right now. Those are 2 of the Cunningham cars. Another car heads to pit road early on here. Looks like the 00 also pulling behind the wall. That's Wayne Peterson's car out of Pulaski, Indiana. Meantime, this is 4th, 5th, and 6th on the racetrack behind the race leaders. The 77 car of Bowen out of the Atlanta area of Georgia. 52 of Tiff. He's from Ohio. The 22 of Austin Wayne Self from Austin, Texas. Lapping by Brad Smith out of Michigan and James Sutton's 48 car.
Wow.
Tough scatter.
Yes, that was an opening shot in a pool game.
Gotta be careful. Coming up on just 10 laps on the board. Take a look at where the 55 car is.
Ben Rhodes.
Ben Rhodes, the Cannon East points leader, has run a couple of Truck Series races, trying to get up into contention, get up inside the top 10, make some noise. Now, he started back in 9th position, so he's in good shape to challenge for at least the top 5 here before too many laps unfold.
Very soon, I'm going to say, Rick. Very soon. The one thing about this racetrack, what you're seeing here, you see them open up a little bit on the straightaways and close back up. This racetrack is very hard on brakes. Even though it doesn't look like it, it's very similar to Martinsville Speedway, where a lot of straightaway speed, get slowed down, slow in the center of the corner, and then try to get that forward bite up off the corner. And, late in the race, I think brakes are going to come into play. Actually, they might already, as we see a little more bumping out there.
Well, the way the banking lays out here in Madison, it's pretty steep. And the bottom is, I would think you'd be running the risk of binding the car up. But right now, everybody trying to hug that yellow line in the car.
Yeah, shortest way around right now. I mean, the banking's pretty similar all the way up the racetrack. So they're looking at the shortest way around. And as more guys run there and lay some rubber down, I think the track will get a little bit faster, too, as we go along. When they get to their spot where they can put on those 4 new tires.
Edfinger in the 90, trying to chase down Mason Mitchell, the pole starter in the 98 car, as they battle for the lead here, putting 13 laps up on the board. Your Calypso Lemonade running order, top of your screen. Keep track of where your favorite driver is running in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards today. They're at Madison International Speedway. Frank Kimmel in the 44, the Menards Toyota sitting third. Bowen in the 77 fourth. If you were with us in Winchester back in July, you saw Bowen as we watched this fight between Mitchell and Enfinger. Enfinger not much of a factor that day. Mason Mitchell leading laps as they wound down, taking the lead over from Ken Schrader. Late young Brandon Jones able to kind of pinball off and then steal the victory in the final corner there. Mitchell very frustrated with another runner-up finish. He's got something like 14 career second-place finishes in the ARCA Racing Series. Finally got his first victory a few weeks ago. Feels a lot better about it. It catapulted him back into the championship league.
Yes, it did. Going back to Winchester, I mean, you hear the old saying, and we saw it there once again, 8 tires are better than 4 when it comes to sticking.
On board with Frank Kimmel, several different onboard looks for you this afternoon here at Madison International Speedway. The Menards on board in Kimmel's 44 car. That's the rival Austin Wayne Self with Enfinger and with Mitchell up front today. So this is your third place car driven by the 10-time series champ.
A really good shot there of how hard these guys got to get on the brake here. Going down in the corner, there's like a little dip on both ends of the speedway. It kind of makes the car free on entry, and they're already under such hard braking conditions. Equipment, these race cars are going to take a beating through the day, and that might take a toll on everything at the end of the day as well.
Out of West Des Moines, Iowa, the Musselwoods Wildlife Foundation of Florida. Ford right behind him, Enfinger from Fairhope, Alabama. The K-Site Motor Honey Allegiant Airlines Chevrolet right behind the race leader. And Kimmel in third spot, another 4 or 5 car lengths back, watching some action a little deeper in the field here. Keeping an eye on the 66 car. That's the identical movie machine. Brennan Poole from the Woodlands in Texas, one of the Venturini cars. Started in 13th. He's closed in behind the 55 of Ben Rhodes, who started in 9th position. So some rumbling going on there. Top 5 remains the same. Self is 6th. The 55 is 7th. That's Rhodes. And right behind him at 8th is Brennan Poole. The 55 and the 66 of Justin Boston, their teammate there in the 25. Those are 3 cars capable of contending for the win here.
Yeah, and John West is right behind him. I tell you what, all 4 of the Venturini cars are right together. I don't know how Kathy Venturini could actually sit there in the infield and watch this race unfold.
That's the Cometic Gasket 55 car. Ben Rhodes, young gun, certainly out of Louisville, Kentucky. The Alpha Energy Solutions Toyota. The 55, Poole in the 66, and the identical machine, and then the 25, this Loop car of Justin Boston. Yeah, you don't want to see that as a car owner, do you? All 3 of your cars stacked up like that.
See, Kathy might have stood up on that one.
Probably so. Running order continues at the top of your screen. Other drivers to keep an eye on. We talked about some of these young guns as the leaders hit lap traffic over turn 3. This is the battle for position on the backside. 6th, 7th, and 8th in play right now here. The identical movie on board on that 66 car. Getting Brennan Poole back in the seat. Young drivers. We talk about young drivers and how they make strides in the sport, Andy Hillenberg. And you've helped many young drivers kind of get their footing in the sport. You've got to have funding to do it. The identical movie helping there for Brennan Poole.
It's great to see him back in. He had a near championship run there a couple years ago. It's great to see Brennan back in the series action.
Down into turn 1, lapping by Brad Smith again in the Radon.com Ford of James Harvey Hilton. No change up front here in Madison as we put lap 24 on the scoreboard.
Well, with this many laps, tires are starting to come into play. The race pace is slowing down just a little bit. We've got some of the comers from the back of the pack that are working their way forward. Guys are seeing what they have. They all catch lap time, or lap cars seem to all be bunched together as well. So action on both ends of the speedway here for sure. Frank's got a windshield full right now.
Going here with Kimmel up onto the front straightaway. Driving by that 97 car, and we didn't have much of a chance to talk about the driver of that car, but you may well recognize the name from Los Angeles. That's Emerson Newton-John, Olivia Newton-John's nephew. Covered him over the years. He's raced a lot of sports cars, some open wheel stuff, and now taking a fling at ARCA stock car race.
Great to have him here on the ovals with just a road course with 2 left-hand turns.
There you go. And they're tight enough that you might feel at home if you're a road course.
2 hairpins.
There you go. Working our way deep into the first 50 laps today. Now, Andy, when we see the competition yellow, that's brought about, I'm sure, because ARCA Racing Series officials concerned about the hard rain we had yesterday, washing all the rubber off the track. Teams will get a chance if they want to check tire wear?
Yes, teams have to get a good idea of what they have here for right front tire wear. Even though they did get 1 practice in yesterday, nobody really ran longer than 8 or 10 laps at a time. So this is the longest these guys have been out there doing 1 run, and they've got to take a look at the right front tire here.
Watching action a little further back in the pack, still the 55, the 66, working on positions 7, 8, and 9, just in Boston. And then, as Andy pointed out, John West Townley in the 15, the Zaxby's Toyota, the other Venturini automobile. He gives up a spot, falls back up to 11th, up to 10th now is young Brandon Jones as we watch this 6th, 7th, and 8th place battle as the 25 of Boston trying to make a move underneath Brendan Poole there in the 66. Carl Weber, meantime, in the Sylvius Insurance Group 3. The young guns here started 12th today. He's pitting early for tires. Got a car on the wall up at turn 4.
A.J. Fike.
A.J. Fike in the RFMS Ford has backed it into the wall. We've got caution on the Speedway with 28 laps complete, 172 to go. That will not buff out. A.J. Fike is going to have to roll that car perhaps on the hook down to victory lane. First caution, back to pit road, I should say. First caution of the afternoon here at Madison.
Tough break.
Looks like he might have gotten up into the marbles there. You see a lot of grit kind of on the racetrack, and the cars throw that naturally up the banks there. You put a wheel out in the gray, you may go for a ride today.
Well, he started sliding as well back in turn 3, so he might have something to say there to someone else on the racetrack. But he'd done a great job.
You think he got some help with that?
Well, possibly. But he'd worked his way up into the top 15.
Take another look here. One of our onboard
There we go.
views.
He just got, like you
all by
said, got
himself.
loose, yeah, and
All
slid
by
up in the racetrack.
Now, you mentioned earlier A.J. Fike is a dirt track specialist, very strong in open-wheel cars on dirt. Not much pavement racing for him in recent years.
Well, he ran the full ARCA season back about 10 years ago, had some great runs there, but was pretty much concentrated on the USAC Silver Crown Series, and there's some pavement racing in there that he's been able to do, but his favorite is the dirt miles for sure.
So Mitchell in the 98, Enfinger in the 90. Now we haven't, we've just crossed 30 laps on the board. That competition yellow is upcoming. This is a 10-tire race, just like when we were at Elko and at Winchester. What do you want to do? Is this too early to take tires, or do you take a chance?
I think so. This is why crew chiefs get paid, and they're leaving them out there. The pits are open, and it's just a little bit too early, because if you put those tires on now, the end of the race, you're sunk.
On board here with the 98 car of Mason Mitchell.
First takers here.
Thermal Technology Ford is out in front. Pushing the 97 of Emerson Newton-John, trying to get him refired. Right front brake on fire on Brendan Poole's the identical movie.com 66. So trouble down there in the Venturini pits. Quick break. Right back with more. We know the identical movie is going to be hot when it hits theaters September 5th. They weren't counting on this much heat on the right front. Dr. Dick Berggren on pit road with a DK Lock pit road update.
Well, they've obviously had a fire problem in the right front of this car. This is a very tough racetrack on brakes, and it appears as if brakes is what has bitten Brendan Poole today. It's too bad. He had a great race car in practice and thought he had a good shot to win it, and so did the rest of the people in the pit area.
Wow, Brendan Poole was making good time coming up through the field with that DK Lock pit road update that Dr. Dick Berggren provided Andy Hillenberg. When the right front catches fire like that, they couldn't put it out.
Yeah, it actually caught on fire before he got into the pit, and then when they were taking the tire off, it kept relighting. There we go. We see it right there. And they dropped the jack to get him back out there. He lost one lap before he came back in, and now they pushed it behind the wall to get it fixed. This is a track you can't run without brakes.
Well, of course not. Of course not. Usually you would see that maybe on the left front. The right front, though, takes a lot of abuse here, doesn't it?
A ton of heat. I mean, these guys are driving down the corner so hard. A ton of heat. Doubling up here on the one to go, Rick.
All right, we'll take the green flag in just a moment. The 66 behind the wall. So Brendan Poole in the identical movie Toyota, not the contender now. He's lost a couple of laps, and that will be enough to take him out of contention, unfortunately, here today. Mason Mitchell, your restart pole sitter in the 98. Grant Enfinger in the 90 alongside. Kimmel lines up third in the Menards 44. And the 77, the Cunningham Dodge of Anderson Bowen on the outside of row 2. The 52, Matt Tifton, the Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet. The 22 of Austin Wayne Self, the AM Technical Solutions Dodge out of Texas. The 55 will line up 7th. That is Ben Rhodes in the Cometic Gasket Machine. Justin Boston outside row 4. The Zaloop Toyota, 2 of the Venturini cars in row number 4. And starting 9th on the restart, the 4, young Brandon Jones, our winner at Winchester in July. He won at IRP at Indianapolis Raceway Park, Lucas Oil Raceway after that. Started 22nd today. Green flag back in the air. And Jones trying to work to the inside of Justin Boston here to pick up another spot.
Grant Enfinger jumps to the lead. A great restart. He spun his tires on that original start, and he was ready for Mason here on this one. Here come these 5 bonus points right here to even the score back up, Rick.
Enfinger in the Allegiant Travel Chevrolet takes him down into turn 1. As good as he has been just about everywhere, short track really had been his forte. He got his 5th win, first ever for GMS Racing a few weeks ago in this car. on a short track as well. Let's ride with Mason Mitchell here in the 98 car, the Musselman's Wildlife Foundation of Florida TTS on board here today.
These cars are really evenly matched, and I mean, rightfully so. I mean, championship battle going back. Tom Hessert's worked his way inside the top 10, coming from the back of the pack, as well as Brandon Jones and Kyle Benjamin along. 3 of them from the back of the pack inside the top 10.
Hessert 9th, Jones in the 4 is 10th. Hessert back there moving nicely toward the front, and then Kyle Benjamin in the family-owned Ford, last year's winner here, being shown in 11th spot. Good action.
First race as a family, as a team owner. It's not going to be as much fun as it has been when you come and drive for somebody and win.
That can go one of 2 ways. It can either knit you tightly together as a family, or you could become the Hatfields and the McCoys if you're not careful. We'll see. We hope for the best for the Benjamin family out of Easley, South Carolina. Leaders are up on the backstretch. Enfinger in front of Mitchell. The Bowen car, the 77, the Cunningham Dodge of Anderson Bowen in 3rd. He got around the 44 of Frank Kimmel to pick up 3rd. Let's take another look here. Brandon Jones in the 4, not shy about using the bodywork, jacks up Justin Boston.
Yeah, he did. Allowed Tommy Hessert to go around Brandon there on the outside, but temper's getting a little short for not even being 50 laps into the race.
Absolutely. You talked about the necessity of a good brake package at this place. We saw Brendan Poole in the identical movie car have to go behind the wall. Here's the Boston car, the 25, trying to work to the inside of Austin Wayne Self. That's for position. That's for 7th down in turn 1.
Looking good, and Tom Hessert and Brandon Jones looks like they're going to keep the whole plug to make it tough on him. Mason coming back on Grant here for the lead.
This is the top 2 cars, front row starters, Enfinger and the K-Site Motor Honey Allegiant Travel car out in front of the 90. On board here with Mitchell in the 98 car. That's the Musselman's Wildlife Foundation of America machine in 2nd spot. A lap by Brad Smith's red 48 car one more time on the bottom there.
Brad doing a good job respecting the leaders. Coming down. It's going to let Grant slip away, though, just the way that they caught him on the racetrack.
Momentum is everything in a place like this for a driver, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And if you get shoved up in that outside groove and you have to wait just a little bit before you can go back to the gas, I mean, as you can see right there, it translates into a couple car lengths just on that one straightaway.
Matt Tift in the Federated Chevrolet. That's a car that led almost all the way here last year before Ross Kenseth, who was driving at that time, had problems with the tire and had to give up the lead. He's gotten himself up into a top 5 spot in that 52 car as well. Challenging Kimmel there in the yellow 44, the Menards and Cell Toyota for 4th position.
Putting a little heat on him there. You know, I like how they're running this race, but Matt might not like the leader getting this far away.
Now, he had that caution at lap 30, and it lasted several laps. Competition yellow upcoming here fairly shortly. Is that an opportunity then for some of these teams that didn't come to pit road the first time, maybe to decide at least to take 2 tires?
Yeah, I think you'll see 2 right side tires on a majority of the race cars when we get to the competition caution, and save those 4 fresh ones for the end.
Nose to tail for 4th, Kimmel in the 44, the 10-time and defending ARCA Racing Series champion. Right behind him, young Matt Tift out of Ohio, driving the 52 from Hinckley, Ohio. Nearly won at Lucas Oil Raceway. I called it Indianapolis Raceway Park a few moments ago. A lot of us have been around a long time, still think of it that way, but it is Lucas Oil Raceway. And you told me that Matt Tift almost won that event.
Yeah, he was in position. I mean, the way that the yellows fell there at the end, but had a really good run there. Any one of 5 or 6 guys were in position at different points there the last 50 laps of that race, and he was one of them.
Lapping by the 47, first-timer Christian Salea from Forest Park, Illinois. The Ashley Stang Ford, that's the Type 1 diabetes car. Mitchell in the 98, meantime, gunning for the lead over out of turn 2. He's nearly to the back fender of the 90 car.
Oh, he's trying to make a hole there. And Grant slams the door on him there, getting into turn 3. That's neat to see. I mean, these guys being so close in the points. They've swapped the point lead several times, but they're showing each other respect on the racetrack throughout the event. I mean, it's just coming down to, okay, gloves off, let's go, and here he goes. He's going to try it again.
Mason Mitchell in the Ford, the 98 on the bottom, trying to work his way inside the Chevrolet, the Allegiant Travel car of Grant Enfinger, coming up on the DK Lock Chevrolet. Thomas Craver out of Mobile, Alabama. That's the 2 car going a lap down with the leaders here in the first 50 today at Madison International Speedway. Enfinger using the lap car to keep Mitchell behind him. But here's Mason taking a look to the inside in turn 3.
He wants that lead pretty bad right now. As we mentioned, it's 5 extra points to lead the most laps. I mean, the way this championship's stacking up, I mean, it could be decided by that 5 points.
Over in turn 2, leaders are side by side. Mason Mitchell may be able to get the job done this time. Takes the lead by a bumper as they hit turn 3. Enfinger will have to get out of the gas.
Oh boy, he's going to put up a little bit of fight. Now fall right in there as they approach lap traffic now. Oh, now he's good.
Grant Enfinger will try the crossover move. He's got a lap car in front. That's the 12, first-timer Tyler Audie from Orlando, Florida. Audie trying to hang with the leaders, but doesn't have enough race car at the moment. We're back on board here with Mason Mitchell in the 98.
Well, doing a great job, the Tyler Audie. That's the first race for this team, Kyle Beatty's team. He's run Tyler in the Legend Series, and he's run him as well in the Super Late Models, and stepping up to ARCA here today, doing a good job.
Solea, the 47, heads for pit road. Meantime, leaders out of turn number 4. The 06 about to go another lap down. James Swanson from New Jersey.
Who got a lead last week at Springfield?
I'm telling you that.
He brought the fans to the feet. Yeah.
There you go. Leaders over on the backside, and Mason Mitchell starting to stretch it out a little. Meantime, Kimmel in the 44 is 4th. Tift is 5th. Justin Boston there in the loop, 25 in 6th position. Taking a look at Matt Tift for a top 5 position.
A little bit of fender damage there on that 25 car as well. So he's honked the horn a couple times, Rick.
And in a place like this that's a fast half mile, lap times around 17.5 seconds, race pace. Aerodynamics is something you have to pay attention to at this place.
Yeah, a little bit, but sometimes the horn is more effective.
Sometimes moving them is the only way to get by, and that's okay in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards.
Just depends on which end of the horn you're on.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Depends on whose horn's being pushed, I guess, something like that. Leaders out of turn 4. This is the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Joining the fight is the 72 of Tom Hester, the Careguard Dodge. Tom Hester's the 3rd, started way back in the field in that 72 out of Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Field lined up according to owner points at Madison International Speedway. Because qualifying was rained out yesterday, we had hard rainstorms here late in the afternoon. Qualifying originally set for about 5 o'clock. There's the 4 of Brandon Jones, 2-time winner and 2 starts. That's a Turner Scott Motorsports development team. Brandon in the top 10 here, probably not in bad shape. He's got the leaders in sight. Nobody's made their first pit stop yet for new tires, of the front runners anyway. Mitchell taking the lead a few laps to go, and there is your competition yellow at 60 laps on the board. So the field will be frozen. Andy, how does this work in the ARCA Racing?
Actually, it's just open. It's going to be a regular caution. They come in, they can lose or gain spots on pit road, so business is picking up.
There you go. We'll see what happens here. Your thought was that some of these front-running teams may decide to take their 2 tires and save 4 for a caution perhaps that might come in the last, 75, 80 laps?
Yeah, I really believe you're going to need 4 tires with somewhere between 50 to 75 to go to be able to win this race.
Safety car out on the racetrack.
I love it, too.
Kind of a cool pace car, yeah. Kind of a little glimpse of a former state patrol car, now logoed up in the Madison International Speedway colors with the safety lights and the push bar on top. Picking up Mason Mitchell as the race leader. Enfinger will go second, at least at this point. And the 77 of young Anderson Bowen, the 44 of Kimmel, the 52 of Matt Tift, the 25 of Boston, the 72 of Tom Hester, the 55 car of Ben Rhodes. Most of your top 10. We'll see who decides to come to pit road. Some of the contending teams, looks like the 55 will be pitting for a couple of tires. We see the team with, you normally say tires up on the wall, but there's no real pit wall as such here. A lot of short tracks at Madison among them. And the 98 has its flag out, as does the 23 up front. So we will see, and that's the 90 team of Grant Enfinger, the Allegiant Travel GMS Racing Bunch. So it looks like a lot of the leaders will take advantage of this. Pits are open this time by. Dr. Dick Bergman standing by to watch the 2 leaders as they come to him. Now it's a 23-mile-an-hour pit road speed. It takes a while to get down there.
Yep, got to be heads up because it narrows up down at the end as well.
The 98 is Mitchell, the 90 is Enfinger, Kimmel on pit road, Tift, Boston, the 55 of Rhodes, Jones in the 4. Time for another DK Lock pit road update. Let's hear from Dr. Dick Bergman.
Well, Grant Enfinger is pitting about 2 stalls behind Mason Mitchell. He said the car is a little bit tight. They've got the wrench in the back window to be able to fix that. Same with Mason Mitchell, who is just in front of him on the pit stop, and they go out just about the way they came in, except Kimmel got in between them.
So Frank Kimmel in the 44, his team, the Wintron team, doing a little more rapid service on pit road, helping Kimmel pick up a spot or 2 before we go green once again. All right, let's take the opportunity to take a quick time out here at Madison International Speedway. The Herrs Chase the Taste 200 returns in just a moment. Welcome back to the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Today from Madison International Speedway, the Herrs Live Life with Flavor 200 presented by Calypso Lemonade and the major motion picture The Identical coming to theaters September the 5th. TheIdenticalMovie.com to find out more. Getting set to go. Double foul restarts now, Andy Hillenberg on these short tracks. There's the 66, the identical movie Toyota. Brennan Poole's day ends early. He was rocketing through the field in that car. Brake issues, a brake fire in the right front corner put him behind the wall too early today.
Way too early because he was putting on a good show for us.
Outside pole will be Frank Kimmel in the 44. Now, Frank has not had an opportunity to chase the lead. How does this shake out here at Madison, the 10-time series champ, alongside the 98 of Mitchell for the restart?
Well, we've mentioned that he hasn't won yet this year, and now he's seen himself with no cars up there in that front windshield. That might put a whole new gear in that 44 car.
We will see. Talked to Frank before the start today, and he said, yeah, crew chief change. They're getting better. They're closing in on it. Uncharacteristically, not in the championship fight right now. Still 5 races counting today to try to change all that for the 10-time champion in that Menards Ansel Toyota. Green flag back in the air, back underway on lap 67 for the 98 of Mitchell, the 90 of Enfinger. The drop on the 44 car. Kimmel, he drops back to third. The 72 of Hessert alongside the 25 of Boston. That's a fight for fourth spot.
Tommy's done a great job coming through the field, starting back in 25th, inside the top 5, and still going for more.
Hessert on the bottom of the Kergard Dodge. Let's get on board here with the 90 of Enfinger. A little contact. The 98 of Mitchell chopping down on him there, perhaps in the corner.
Wow. These guys are going at it.
Enfinger and Mitchell, the title contenders, with 5 races to go in the ARCA Racing Series season. Here's Enfinger up alongside Mitchell as they smoke down the front straightaway into 1. Enfinger trying to drive it in there a little deeper.
Oh, still didn't get all the way, get it all the way done. We get to live through that again.
Right on board looks the Allegiant Travel on board there on Enfinger's car. Back on board with the 44, Frank Kimmel watching this one from third. Frank restarted on the outside pole, has settled in now to third spot once again.
As the rubbing started, he may not be in too bad of a spot, Rick.
Tom Hessert the third moves to fourth in the Cunningham Kergard Dodge, the 72. Boston fifth. Anderson Bowen, who was up in fourth spot earlier, back to sixth. The 55 of Rhodes is seventh. Tift is now eighth in the Federated Chevrolet. Brandon Jones sits in ninth in the Menards 4 car. Here's the 77 of Bowen, taking an outside look on the 5th place car. That's Boston's 25, this Luke Toyota.
Well, now that these crew chiefs have got to work on these cars a couple times, it's definitely tightened up the field. All the top 10 here are still on the same straightaway.
22 of Boston wings south. 37 want to give the ball to Kyle Benjamin. No relation. 11th right now after starting 27th today. First time out of the family-owned Ford, the 37. Here's Boston to the inside of Hessert. This is for position. This is for fourth spot as they come out of fourth.
Oh, boy. Hang on there, Tom.
Menards running order, top of your screen. Keep track of where your favorite drivers stand in this one as we come up on 75 laps next time by out of 200 today here at Madison International Speedway.
Anderson Bowen is doing a really good job here. They lost a few spots on pit road, but he's actually gotten a couple of them back and still fighting for what he thinks he needs a little bit more there.
Anderson Bowen, tremendous talent, races a lot of super late model action. Just a young gun out of the Atlanta area. Only a couple of years doing this with really good success. Came very close a couple of weeks ago to winning the World Crown 300 down at Gresham Motorsports Park in Jefferson, Georgia. One of the big 5 late model races, super late model races across the United States. Anderson, a contender for most of the night in that one. He's won down there in late model competition already this year. Not long before he gets his first ARCA Series win, I'm sure. Back up front, meantime, as we watch the 72, the 77, the 55 fighting for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Up front, it is still the 90 and the 98. Enfinger and Mitchell running 1-2. There's Hessert up to 5th after lining up 25th today. And we should point out the number swap. If you watch a lot of ARCA Racing Series action, the reason Tom Hessert had to start so far back, normally he runs the 77. That's the car that has the owner points, most of which have been earned by Tom Hessert, the third. He gives way to Anderson Bowen occasionally. Anderson drives the 77, got the up front starting spot. Tom said, okay, I'll start back 25th. I'm fine. This is for the lead on the backstretch meantime. Wow. Mitchell taking a look inside the 90 of Enfinger.
You think points don't matter? I mean, right now, the 5-point bonus for leading the most laps is between these two guys. That's what is going on right now. They want those 5 points, and they're going to race all 200 laps here like it's the last one.
On board with Mason Mitchell's 98 car. Enfinger is your leader as we close in on 80 of 200 laps down today. Lap traffic to the bottom as the leaders exit turn 4. Coming up on an 06 car. New Jersey. And your leader, K-Site Motor Honey Allegiant Travel 90, the GMS Racing Chevrolet of Grant Enfinger out in front.
Mason hung with him step for step here.
Well, fans aren't used to seeing this view, those wires that are flapping. That's part of the ignition system, right, Andy?
Yeah, all these cars, they give them an ignition box going through tech. Two different boxes, hook that up. Mallory Excel being a longtime partner with the ARCA Racing Series and keeps things on the up and up.
And wires, of course, controlling the electric spark to the engine. Here's Kimmel in the 44, Boston in the 25, there nose to tail for third spot. Frank Kimmel, the 10-time series champ, Justin Boston, and his first career win last year in the ARCA race.
And see, Frank's holding on right there, as well as Justin being able to work his way up. You got to wonder, you know, they're not racing for those extra 5 points. I mean, they're just thinking lap 200. I mean, Frank might just be sitting here doing the spider thing on him.
Could be a DK Lock Road update. Spider-Man, Dr. Dick Berger. What about Frank Kimmel?
Well, I'm a little surprised he's running as well as he is, Rick. He said he doesn't run this racetrack very well. He doesn't like the car in terms of the way he sits in it. He's bigger than the space inside for the driver. And he's also got a pinched nerve in his neck. He spent much of yesterday lying down in the truck. So for a guy that's hurt, that doesn't like his car, and doesn't think he's very good at it, Frank Kimmel's doing a great job here today.
Well, we talk sometimes, Andy Hillenberg, about old age and treachery and how it can be better than youthful exuberance. You've got youthful exuberance in the top 2 spots. And then fourth, Kimmel, I'm not saying he's been treacherous here, but Kimmel's been doing this quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, he's saving his equipment, maybe saving his strength based on some of the comments there from Dick. He knows that at the end of the race, he just needs one really good punch and be close. In the end, he's in contention today.
Justin Boston taking a look at the bottom there of the 25 is Luke Toyota out of the Venturini Motorsports stables. Boston will try to get up alongside the 44 as they hit turn 3. Looks like he may have it.
Yeah, Frank got a little loose up off the corner, tried to get back in the gas a little bit quicker that time. Kicked out, allowed Justin to get the run on him up to third place.
Boston in the 25. Now we'll see if he can get to work. Try to reel in Mason Mitchell, who runs second behind Grant Enfinger. Enfinger in the 90 is out in front. And he and Mason Mitchell have swapped this lead back and forth. Mitchell took the early lead from the pole. Enfinger took it back. Mitchell repassed. And now since the pit stop, Enfinger seems to have found something.
Yeah, he's coming up off the corner. I mean, the forward bite, we've talked about it a couple times, that forward bite up out of the corner. It seems to come and go as these guys, wear their tires. Some guys are better in one certain segment than they are in the middle, and then the other one comes back. So great racing action for sure.
At the 77, the Dodge of Anderson Bowen out of Georgia. Back in 6th position now in front of 55 of Ben Rhodes. He runs 7th. And Venturini Cometic Gasket Toyota. There's Matt Tift in the Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet. Ken Schrader's car. Kyle Benjamin rolling by him to pick up 8th position. Last year's winner here. And here comes Brandon Jones in that 4 car. I like what Kyle Benjamin's doing now. Kevin Reed is the crew chief on this team. And for those of you who are familiar with the ARCA Racing Series, Kevin, long time with Venturini Motorsports, quarterback that team to a lot of wins. Kyle won here with Kevin a year ago in one of the Venturini Toyotas. They started this family team a few weeks back, first time out for him. I saw Kevin Reed smiling this morning in the garage area. That may have indicated something.
Well, yeah, and he's worked with Kyle. He's the one that crew chief those wins for him, and they get along really well. I mean, chemistry. We talk about it over and over. That's what it really comes down to, and those two seem to be a good combination.
9th and 10th in play. Tift in the Federated Chevrolet with veteran Donnie Richardson calling the shots on the pit box there. For Brandon Jones with Super Shane Huffman as his crew chief. Shane, a guy who's won a lot of short track races over the years as a driver. There's John West Townley in the 15 and Austin Wayne Self in the AM Technical Solutions. One of the Cunningham Dodgers, a 3-car effort for that team here this weekend. We get on board the 22 car to see how Austin Wayne is doing.
Diving her down in there, you see that big hump there, and then still heavy on the brake.
11th and 12th in play right here. The Zaxby's Toyota of John West Townley. John West back after an injury, had to sit out a couple of races. Hard hit for him in a race car a couple of weeks back. He's feeling better, and good to see him back at the racetrack. Ran both the truck and the Nationwide Series races in NASCAR at Bristol Motor Speedway earlier this weekend. As he gets sideways over in turn 2, he's able to straighten it up and keep it off the wall.
Opens the door.
And here comes Austin Wayne Self with the 22 car making a move. Picks up a spot, puts Self up into 11th spot. Meantime, Kyle Benjamin in that 37 car, the family-owned 4, rolling in 8th position, coming toward the front. Change of position possibly for second spot. Leader comes out of turn 4, that's Enfinger. In third right now, the 25 of Justin Boston back there. He is closing in on Mason Mitchell for second. Kyle Benjamin, Dr. Dick Berggren, really starting to make some progress toward the front. Let's head downstairs for a DK Lock pit road update.
Yeah, indeed, he's doing very well, and it's a bit of a surprise. He only got 10 laps of practice in the car, which for all practical purposes is a brand new car. And he has just heard in his radio, you've got all day. They're telling him to take it easy. There's still a lot of race left to go. And I add this. Kyle Benjamin is undefeated here. Until today, he had run one race in the ARCA Series, and he won it undefeated.
1 for 1, not a bad batting average as we watch this fight for second spot. Justin Boston all over the back end of the 98 of Mason Mitchell out of Iowa. Justin Boston starting back a little further in the field than he would have liked from Baltimore, Maryland, and that's Luke Toyota. He is strong here today.
Yeah, he's been just creeping up there and actually got under Mason Mitchell there, but got caught in the wrong spot with lap traffic and had to fall back to third. But he's putting the heat on. Benjamin going by Ben Rhodes right now, and Rhodes wanting to come back.
Kyle Benjamin in the 37, lining up in 27th spot. No owner points really for the 37 team, as they have just started that effort here a few weeks back, but rolling toward the front right now. Kyle Benjamin making a move in 7th position now and starting to close in on the race leaders. Closing in on halfway. 100 laps go on the board here at Madison International Speedway. Time for your Calypso Lemonade mid-race recap. And Enfinger has led 48 of the first 100 laps here this afternoon. We've had 6 lead changes so far as Enfinger sees the cross flags. A couple of cautions thus far. Notable here, we had a competition yellow.
Brake fire.
We had this brake fire, the 66 of Brennan Poole out of Texas. The identical movie Toyota, 66 car from the Venturini Stables. Tried to get that car back on the racetrack, but that right front just would not cooperate, and Brennan Poole behind the wall, taking out a contender for victory. Plenty more to come. Right back with more at Madison.
ARCA Racing Series on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by the General Insurance. Get an anonymous free car insurance quote now.
111 laps are complete, 89 remain today, and the Herr's 200 today. The Herr's Live Life with Flavor 200. I'm Rick Benjamin. Andy Hillenberg is alongside Dr. Dick Berggren down on pit road. Grant Enfinger is your race leader. Mason Mitchell right behind him. Justin Boston, Frank Kimmel, and Tom Hester III. Your top 5 at this point. Everything more or less settling down as we start thinking about pit stops. There's Enfinger, your leader, coming off turn 2. Downstairs for a DK Lock pit road update. Here's Dr. Dick Berggren.
Well, Mason Mitchell has cut back considerably in the last few laps, so I went to the crew and asked what was wrong. They gave me the okay sign, said the car is just fine. I doubt it.
I'm going to agree with that as well. He's backed up to 3 seconds behind after keeping so much heat on Grant there. You got to wonder if he's used his race car up a little bit. Maybe overused the brakes, overused everything on that he has to work with there.
Grant Enfinger is still a young race car driver with a lot of wins in front of him, a lot of good future in front of him, I do feel. He's been doing this a couple of years, though, more than Mason Mitchell. Is that just a little bit of young veteran experience, maybe?
Grant has a ton of experience, and it would be nice to see him finally get the opportunity that he's deserved over the past few years, getting to run a full season here with ARCA.
Started out with Howard Bitchman's Ford team. Things in that organization started to change a little. They weren't really ready and funded to go the rest of the way. The Allegiant GMS team deciding they would like to have Grant in one of their race cars. So Grant brought some of his backing from K-Side Motor Honey along, and man, it's been an out-of-the-box success for this race team.
Yes, it has, and it looks like we're headed for more, Rick.
It appears that way. Hard to say for sure, certainly. We've got a long time to go yet here this afternoon. Not even, more than 80 laps remain. But the 90 has stretched out that lead to 3.4 seconds. Back a little further in the pack meantime. 4th and 5th in play. The 10-time series champ, defending ARCA champion Frank Kimmel in the Menards Ansel Toyota out of Wintron Racing Stables. Right behind him, the 72, the Cargard machine out of New Jersey. That is Tom Hester III, who's really done a terrific job here today.
Yeah, and I know Frank has got to be hoping for a caution soon, because the last 10, 12 laps, that car's just kicking sideways. He's really loose up out of the corner. I think nobody'd like 4 new tires better than Frank right now. Here you kind of see him leaning on that right rear, and it's allowed Tom Hester to close in.
We talk about not burning the tires off your race car. You got to manage your tires. This is old asphalt in a place like Madison. Pretty abrasive.
The best kind.
Yeah.
Old asphalt is the best kind for racing.
It lends to a better show, I think, in most cases. Grip level pretty low. You've got to be really cautious on the throttle loader, don't you?
Well, yeah, you have to be smooth and come up out of that corner smooth and straight. That's the forward bite, the launch. You're looking to get launched up out of that corner without wheel spin. Tommy's going under Frank right now.
This is the fourth spot in turn 3. The Kiergaard 72. Hessert will clear the 44 of the 10-time series champion down into 1.
And New Jersey goes wild.
Wow, there you go. At least in Cherry Hill.
Right.
Tom Hessert III moves into 4th position. Justin Vaughn. Oh, here comes Kimmel right back. I start saying he's got him. Kimmel's going to recede in his mirror. Not so much. Frank says, no, I'm going to come right back at you.
Well, I think he's just keeping him honest, let him know it's not going to be that easy. Wow, good fight here.
If you had told me at the start of this season that Frank Kimmel would be this deep into the year, race number 16 of 20, without a victory, comes off a championship year last year, now changes teams, that's true, from Thorsport, not in ARCA anymore, to Wintron, a team with a lot of history, a lot of success, a lot of resources.
Yeah, a lot of wins.
But that they would be struggling to this extent, I know they're 30 points, but winless. I would have said, you're nuts. That's crazy. This guy wrote the book on how to be successful in ARCA.
Yeah, but chemistry, getting that perfect chemistry of what Frank wants in the race car. He knows what to expect and be able to ask for from his team. And, you know, we talked about his results over the past month here. This is week 7 in a row of racing. They run again next week, 8 races. It's starting to come together for them. So maybe they need that 8 races at the beginning of the year.
And Frank Kimmel, a dirt track ace. So maybe next week, Monday at DuQuoin in Illinois on the State Fair Mile. Love those mile dirts, and Frank loves them as well. He's got a lot of victories on both Springfield and DuQuoin's racetracks. Meantime, Tom Hessert up to 4th in that 72. The Cunningham Dodge, Kiergaard Warranty.com. Boy, am I impressed with the drive young Tom Hessert has put together here today.
Coming from the back of the pack there, a lot of patience at the right times to getting through the lap traffic and knowing when to push the pedal. He's still coming too.
Watching the 72 and the 44, they'll lap that 12 car. You have Tyler Audi and the Audi Expo Chevrolet. First time out for that team, that driver combination actually in the ARCA Racing Series. Team's been around, Kyle Beatty Motorsports, for some time. Take a look back at who is sniffing the top 5, but young Kyle Benjamin, 16 years of age, already a grizzled veteran. Dr. Dick Berggren spoke about him a few moments ago from Easley, South Carolina. Won this race in a Venturini car a year ago. Family-owned and operated effort now. They've moved to Ford. With the veteran Kevin Reed calling the shots for that team. They know what they're doing, and Kyle Benjamin on the backstretch. A lap by the 12 car, starting to chip into that lead, just 10 seconds behind the race leader.
He's chipping away on Frank, and Mason Mitchell's falling back.
Less than 75 laps to go at Madison International. Back with more on CBS Sports Network.
ARCA Racing Series on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. By Calypso Lemonade. Natural flavored lemonades produced with pure cane sugar, natural flavors, and real lemon bits. And by The Identical, starring Ashley Judd and Ray Liotta. Opens in theaters nationwide September 5th.
52 laps to go today here at Madison International Speedway alongside Andy Hillenberg. I'm Rick Benjamin, Dr. Dick Berggren with our DK Lock Pit Road coverage today. Race leader in the Allegiant Travel Chevrolet. The 90 car is Grant Enfinger from Fairhope, Alabama. His runner-up, the driver who he's been chasing in the points chase, points leader Mason Mitchell is second on board here with the 90 car of Enfinger. And right now, if things stay this way through the end of the race, Andy Hillenberg, and we've got Enfinger opening up a 7-second lead over Mason Mitchell, that wouldn't shuffle the points too much at this stage of the game.
No, it'd give him a 10-point cut into the margin, so they'd go into DuQuoin next week with a 15-point advantage. Mitchell over Enfinger with only 4 races to go. I mean, anything can happen. This is great stuff.
No question about it. As we watch Enfinger, as he comes back to the front straightaway to put lap 140 on the scoreboard, 141, 59 to go now. These leading teams, these lead lap teams, and we're down to a situation where we have 8 cars are left on the lead lap. Anderson Bowen in the 77 last lead lap car as we watch Hessert in the 72 running in 4th position, trying to get close to Frank Kimmel and get himself in a position to possibly make a move. What's your strategy if you're a crew chief? Do you decide to make a green flag stop and give up all that track position to get your 4 tires? There's Benjamin in the 37 up to 5th right now because he's gotten by Frank Kimmel, who's fading a little bit here. Or do you roll the dice and stay out there?
Yeah, you've got to stay out here if you're on the lead lap. The only thing that may work is if you're 1 lap down and you came to win and you're running 8th to 12th.
and you're not really going to back up any further, maybe risk. I mean, it's kind of like hitting the lottery. If you come in and get those tires, only lose a lap and a half, maybe two, be able to get them in the last 50. But I don't really think you'll see anybody take that chance because, you know, this long of a run, at some point you feel like there's going to be a caution, whether somebody has wears out their right front tire or wears out their brakes and spins out, Rick. So I'd say you just got to wait for the caution and take what you have.
Dr. Dick Berggren, the DK Locks Pit Road update. What about strategy calls for some of these race leaders?
Well, this race has a green flag look to it, and it could go all the way to the end. We've got 55 to go. I've just talked to several of the crew chiefs, and every one of them said they have enough fuel in the car to go the distance. So they're not going to have to pit for fuel, but if there's a caution flag, every one of these drivers is screaming for tires.
No big surprise there.
Have
you ever met a race car driver who didn't want tires every 10 laps?
Well, it's a great feeling when you do have those 4 tires, I'll tell you that.
Coming up on 50 to go here at Madison International Speedway, the Allegiant Travel 90 of Grant Enfinger from the GMS Racing Stables is your race leader by, 8 seconds over Mason Mitchell. We'll come right back to Madison. Welcome back to Madison International Speedway in Madison, Wisconsin. Coverage of the Herr's Live Life with Flavor 200, the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards on the CBS Sports Network. I'm Rick Benjamin, former ARCA champion Andy Hillenberg alongside Dr. Dick Berggren on pit road. Grant Enfinger laying a whooping on the field. He and Mason Mitchell started on the front row. They're the 2 championship contenders. There's Enfinger and the K-Side Motor Honey Allegiant Travel Chevrolet, the 90 car for GMS Racing. And he is in a time zone of his own, Andy Hillenberg, almost 10 seconds to the good now over Mason Mitchell. That's a half a lap.
Oh, yeah, these old tires, they're just fitting perfectly what they're having. And, I mean, sitting here with just about 40 to go, Grant's just thinking, please, no caution right now. I mean, he's definitely got it in hand.
On board here with Enfinger as he closes in on the Menards 44 of Frank Kimmel. Kimmel running 6th. Would be the next car to go a lap down, assuming that Enfinger keeps marching around this racetrack the way he has been going. We've been watching the cars go a lap down, lap down, lap down. Drivers we talked about, Anderson Bowen faded to 8th. He's now a lap down. Brandon Jones, who won in that amazing finish at Winchester, now a lap down. Meantime, watching this battle, Boston and Mitchell. This is for second spot. Justin Boston, maybe being held up a little by the 98 here.
Well, he's been putting the heat on here. He closed in after being about 10 car lengths back or so, coming in and trying to make the pass right here on Mason Mitchell.
40 laps to go. 40 to go today at Madison International Speedway. Mitchell hanging on for dear life at second spot. If Boston can close the deal and kick the Mitchell car, the 98, back one more position, that slices into his point lead even further.
Oh, yeah, 5-point swap right there. I mean, that's the thing about the ARCA Series. 5 points per position. Pretty easy to do the math.
Absolutely. Just 5 spots, as we told you at the top of the broadcast, separating Enfinger from Mason Mitchell, who is the championship leader. We're on board with Mason here in the 98 car, and that is the Musselman's Wildlife Foundation of Florida TPS Ford. Started on the pole because we lined them up by owner points after qualifying was rained out Saturday here in Madison. Just joining us from Boston in the 25. Moving into second spot now and starting to pull away a little bit. Does Boston have anything for the race leader? 9 seconds back. He's chipping into it just a little bit. If you're a Grant Enfinger out in front of the 90 car, you got to be thinking, man, I'm on a Sunday afternoon drive at this point.
Well, you've got to save your stuff. I mean, you can't get out of your rhythm and change it totally, but you can lift a couple feet earlier, save those brakes just a little bit more, because if we were to get that late caution, it's a whole new ballgame.
It would line everybody up, certainly, and take the entire 9-second lead away from Grant Enfinger that he's worked so hard to build up these last 100 or so laps here at Madison International Speedway. There's the 25 of Boston, your second place car, from 8th on the grid here today. Good run for him, one of his best of the season in the Jayco's Leap car, the 25. Coming out of Baltimore, Maryland. 72 of Tom Hessert in 5th. He got passed a few moments ago. We talked about Kyle Benjamin. He won here a year ago. In that family-owned Ford now. Leaders in some traffic. Enfinger about to put Matt Tifft a lap down in Ken Schrader's Federated Chevrolet. Tifft, who ran up front early in the top 4, top 5, back to 12th. So he does need tires and an adjustment problem.
A lot of guys are squealing for tires as we see John West get really sideways there in front of our leader coming up off the corner.
We talk a lot in stock car racing about teams following the leader. If the leader decides to pit and you're on the lead lap, you need to come to pit road as well. And John West Townley in the 22 of Austin Wayne, Self fighting here for position. Self in 10th, Townley in 11th, and Townley gets by on the bottom Austin Wayne Self out of Texas in that AM Technical Solutions car. Enfinger scoots by to put him another lap down. With Enfinger in this time zone of his own, I'm starting to wonder if maybe even if you're Boston, you roll the dice and at least take 2 here.
No, you can't throw away that good finish. I mean, Justin being in second place. I mean, if he were to come in and get those tires, it could take him all the way back to 15th or 16th, and just not worth the risk versus reward there.
Coming up on 30 to go momentarily here from the race leader, Grant Enfinger out of Alabama in car number 90, and certainly if you're back far enough, you'd be faster on 4 fresh usual tires, but you wouldn't be able to make the time up in 30 laps.
Yeah, a lap and a half, 3/4 of a mile. No, not going to do it.
Yeah. So Enfinger continues to lead and dominate. He's built the lead back up to 10.1 seconds now over Justin Boston.
You're watching Grant's car going through here. I mean, he's been straight the whole way. You're seeing everybody else. I mean, the right rear's hanging out. They're shoving up the racetrack with the nose. They're just out of tires. He's been taking care of these tires, keeping it smooth and straight, easing the power down, rolling into the corner nice and smooth right there. Daylight.
No question about that for Enfinger. The Allegiant Travel onboard camera, the 90 car out in front of Enfinger looking good. He would be picking up his 6th victory of the season in 16 starts. That's in frame right now for Enfinger if he can close the deal with 29 laps remaining today at Madison International Speedway. And the Herr's Live Life with Flavor 200 presented by Calypso Lemonade and presented by the Identical Movie, which is coming to theaters, major motion picture, September the 5th. TheIdenticalMovie.com to find out more. Ashley Judd, Ray Liotta, and Blake
the leader.
And the leader's got a problem.
Oh,
Enfinger out of power out of turn 4.
No.
We're talking about Enfinger waxing the field. He's got a problem as he creeps across the start-finish line. Still the leader, Justin Boston, though, will be making a pass here momentarily. Boston takes over the lead. Enfinger may not even make it to pit road in the 90 car. That's going to bring out a caution flag with 28 laps to go. Here I am talking about Enfinger winning his 6th of the year, and the caution waves. So now, you're Justin Boston's crew chief. You've got a lead, but you're going to be restarting with Mitchell and Benjamin, who's been very fast, Hesser, and even Jones right around you, Frank Kimmel as well. The 90 car just dead stick on the front straightaway. There at Madison, Dick Berger, what's the problem?
He thought he locked the back gears, but the car is now moving forward on the racetrack, so that can't be the problem unless it's just plain gravity that's rolling him forward, and I think that's it. Rear gear failure in Grant Enfinger's car.
Wow,
and
DK,
he had this one in the bag.
10 seconds to the good and setting sail. A DK Lock Pit Road update from our good friend Dr. Dick Berggren. That is a heartbreak, and that could be a championship cost.
Oh, he's never over till the fat lady sings.
Man.
Oh, my gosh. I feel so bad for Grant.
That is why we watch all 200 laps closely at a place like Madison International Speedway. Enfinger had taken the lead from Mason Mitchell, has led a ton of laps here today. He's led 120 of the 174 laps so far, by far the most laps led. Nobody could possibly lead more, obviously, today. And Enfinger's day will not end in victory lane here at Madison International Speedway. Wow, what a turn of events. So that'll put Justin Boston first. Mason Mitchell will have an opportunity from second. Kyle Benjamin, last year's winner in that family-owned Ford, third. And then we've got a host of others. Take a listen here with the onboard camera.
Oh.
The gears.
Driveline failure right there, and it seems like a transmission issue. The pits are going to be open, and right here's why pit crews get paid.
Absolutely. So one of the push trucks getting the 90, the Allegiant Chevrolet, pushing it back. Justin Boston, lead lap cars. Only 4 of them get the first opportunity to come to pit road. Dr. Dick Berggren making his way to where the leaders will be pitting. We'll hear from him momentarily. Justin Boston's Venturini team first on the scene. They'll get the opportunity. The 72 car of Hessert being serviced. There's the 37 of Benjamin. Kevin Reed's bunch over the wall for that car. Brand new race team. Let's get a DK Lock Pit Road update. Dr. Dick Berggren.
And it's a whole new world for Mason Mitchell, who had watched his lead go away, and as he dropped back. 2 tires on the car so far. It's going to be a 4-tire change for just about everybody today, and Mason Mitchell is among them. He is the first car on pit road, but Justin Boston is going to beat him out on the racetrack.
So Boston takes the lead back coming off pit road, then Mitchell, then you've got Kyle Benjamin and Tom Hesser, pretty much the way they came off pit road. Brandon Jones in the 4. Now, he had gotten his lap back in.
Well, what happened there with Grant being so far ahead of the second-place car, when he broke, it allowed 2 or 3 guys to get back onto the lead lap. Plus, we're going to have a lucky dog.
So we will see what the restart lineup looks like. Lap down cars headed to pit road now with 25 to go today at Madison. Let's squeeze in one more time at it. We'll come right back to Madison International Speedway.
After dominating this event, Grant Enfinger sits in his car, which is on jack stands, as the crew works to repair the rear gear. Can you describe in words the disappointment you feel at this moment, Grant?
I mean, yeah, obviously it's disappointing. So can't thank everybody at GMS Racing for the opportunity. Had a heck of a race car. So Pickle had it pretty close. If we'd had one more adjustment, I think we could have made it even better. But part of it, part failures. I feel like it's probably the rear end gear, but not too much to say. Just appreciate everybody at K-Site Motor Hunting, Allegiant Travel, Worth USA, everybody for sticking with us.
The race was all Grant Enfinger's until the rear gear failed.
Leads 120 laps, trying to get him back out here. We'll have 20 laps to go. Safety car is in. Justin Boston, your restart leader. Mason Mitchell alongside. Back underway at Madison, and Mitchell wins the drag race on 4 new tires down into the first turn.
Oh, and there's a little bit of the horn.
Boston on the bottom. Mitchell slips up the racetrack. He may have a problem. Might have jumped out of gear on Mason Mitchell.
Oh,
Boston
man.
takes over. Mason Mitchell, your points leader, with a problem now. Enfinger licking his chops watching this. Here comes Boston. Benjamin now second. Esser third. Brandon Jones got his lap back. The Winchester and Indianapolis winner is up to fourth in the 4 car.
We were saying it wasn't going to be 3 for 3, but he's back in contention right here.
Frank
Putting
Kimmel.
the heat on.
Kimmel up to 5th. Watching Boston start to gap the field. The 98 of Mitchell rolling toward his pit stop. We get an onboard look from the Musselman's Wildlife Foundation of Florida onboard camera there. So the top 2 contenders who led laps. Dick Bergen, a DK Lock pit road update as we watch the 4 car try to pick up a position. What's wrong with that race car?
The problem with Mitchell's car is he has lost voltage. The voltage is gone. He's got no electrical in the car.
A DK Lock pit road update from Dr. Dick Bergen. Problems for the 98 car as well. As we take a look back and see what happens here. We're right here with Mason Mitchell just for a moment.
Shut off. It just shut off right here on him.
Got up out of the way of the faster cars. Good on him for knowing that he had a problem. Was able to clutch it and move up out of the way.
Wow, the 2 best cars inside 25 laps to go.
Meantime, leaders are on the backstretch, coming up on 15 to go. Justin Boston has about a 9 car length advantage over Kyle Benjamin in the 37. The 4 of Brandon Jones, don't count him out yet. And the 44 of 10-time champion Kimmel up into 4th spot. Man, the complexion of this race has changed dramatically in the last several moments.
Yes, it has, and the 25 has obviously made a couple adjustments. They've rocketed away from the field. You know, from second on back, it's anybody's race, but the 25 Venturini car is definitely in control of this race right now.
Don't count the 37 of Benjamin out, though. Lap traffic will be a factor. Thomas Prater in the DK Lock Chevrolet drops to the bottom, lets the leader Boston go by. Take a look here at Kimmel in the 44, 4th spot. Trying to chase down the 4 for 3rd spot. That's Brandon Jones. Back to Dr. Dick Berger.
Mason Mitchell's car is here on pit road, jacked up. Mechanics have taken the battery out, but several of those mechanics are running through the pit area looking for another. They have no spare battery. They have no voltage.
I'll guarantee you that's not a mistake they'll make another time when that happens to you. Leaders on the front straightaway, 2nd and 3rd in play. Kyle Benjamin from the back of the pack started 27th today. And that black 37 car, the family-owned Ford with Kevin Reed, the crew chief, and Brandon Jones in that Turner Scott development car, the Menards 4. Remember how Jones stole a win at Winchester back in July, away from Mason Mitchell, whose car sits on jack stands right now. There's a DK Lock pit road update from Dr. Dick Bergen. Coming up on 10 laps to go, 10 to go. And Justin Boston, it looked like Kyle Benjamin was chipping away at the lead a little bit, but Justin has stretched it out over 2 seconds last time by 10 to go.
He's already got a win this year at Toledo. This one would be his 2nd career win, just getting stronger every week.
So Boston in clean air. Meantime, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Nose to tail on the backside. Here at Madison International Speedway in Wisconsin. Glad to have you with us on the CBS Sports Network. Your Calypso Lemonade running order, top of your screen. Keep track of where your favorite drivers are. After the caution, Grant Enfinger and the Lucky Dog. We've got 7 cars left on the lead lap. Kyle Weatherman and the Rulo Brothers 4 last of those lead lap cars. It's the 60 car.
Kyle got the free pass the last time, driving his heart out all day long. It's good to see him up there on the lead lap in 7th spot.
Justin Boston all alone out in front of the white Jayco's Luke Toyota over in in turn 2. This is second, third, fourth, and fifth. Goes to tail here in the late laps. Tom Hesser, the care guard Axiom Warranty 72. That's the Dodge in fifth position. But here's your race leader, Boston. And behind him, Benjamin in the 37, the 4 of Jones, and the 44 car of Kimmel. So in this game, 200 laps, not a long race here by most standards, but you've got to survive. You've got to get to the finish to have a chance.
Everything we're seeing, we thought it was a 90s race for so long, and then the 98 looked like he was going to be in command, being so good on new tires there. I thought it was their race from then on. So maybe I should just be quiet, Rick.
Well, we love these turns of the cards. That's why we watch. We love how things can change in a heartbeat at a place like this. Boston, all of a sudden, with clean racetrack out of his windshield, coming up on 5 to go. 5 laps to go for your race leaders. Flagman in the ARCA Racing Series flag stand showing the field 5 to go. That time by in Boston sounds nice and strong. Benjamin with his hands full in second spot, hanging on the 4 of Jones right behind him. Team principal Billy Venturini watching. His driver, Justin Boston, out in front. Billy keeping an eye on the scoring monitor. Great driver in this series for many years. Son of former champion Bill and Kathy Venturini, family-owned race team, operates out of the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Here's Boston down into turn 3. 3 to go this time by for Justin Boston. Grant Enfinger, who led more than 120 laps today. Gear problems. Looks like the 90 car will not be able to return. And Mason Mitchell in the 98, battery failure evidently in that car. So your 2 front row starters, the championship contenders, will not see the checkered flag today. We'll see how this all shakes out. Down into turn 3, Brandon Jones, not shy about using the bodywork on that car to shove you out of the way.
Oh boy, we got to fight for second, and Frank's joining in as well.
2 laps to go. They'll see the white flag next time by. Boston all alone on the backstretch. Second, third, and fourth up for grabs today. They're in Madison International Speedway, down into turn 3. Leader Boston will see the white. There it is. Justin Boston out of Baltimore, Maryland, less than half a mile away from victory. Meantime, Brandon Jones 1 second. Young gun Kyle Benjamin in there. Closes the door on another team sensation in Jones. Kimmel, well, a little north of 40, let's say, watching for 4. Into the final couple of corners, Boston will roll to victory.
Here we go.
Second win of the season for
Justin
Boston. Second spot to last year's winner, Kyle Benjamin, who comes from 27th on the grid. Brandon Jones takes third after starting 22nd. Fourth to Frank Kimmel, who lined up third today. And Tom Hesser from deep in the field lined up 25th. He comes home in 5th spot in the 72 car. Then it's Anderson Bowen, Kyle Weatherman, Austin Wayne Self, Matt Tift, and John West Townley. Your top 10 this afternoon. And the Herr's Live Life with Flavor 200 presented by Calypso Lemonade and the Identical Movie. When we continue at Madison, we'll hear from the winner and some of the other key contenders. Plenty more to come on CBS Sports Network.
ARCA Racing Series on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. By Calypso Lemonade. Natural flavored lemonades produced with pure cane sugar, natural flavors, and real lemon bits. And by The Identical, starring Ashley Judd and Ray Liotta. Opens in theaters nationwide September 5th.
Back live at Madison International Speedway, the Venturini Motorsports crew, led by Billy Venturini, thrilled to see their young driver Justin Boston in victory lane. He's standing by with Dr. Dick Berg.
And he is one tired puppy. I'm going to tell you what. This has been a very, very hot day to be in the race car all day, and the first thing Justin Boston wanted when the car stopped, he gets a hug from his crew chief and car owner Billy Venturini, was a big drink of water. Bill Venturini, oh, they're going to do it after all. Oh boy, hugs and kisses all around. Well, you weren't picked as a favorite to win this thing. It was going to be either Mitchell or Enfinger. What was going on in your mind when one after another you saw them drop out of this race?
I didn't think we had a shot at this thing either yesterday. We had a right rear shock mount break off, and I really got to thank my guys over at Venturini Motorsports. Everyone that worked their hearts out yesterday to get this thing race ready, and it really proved it today. This thing was lightning fast, and this car's been lightning fast all year, and this one is for them. They worked so hard on this car, and we should have had more wins this year, and this one was for them.
Not fast in practice yesterday, but you said you were thinking about taking some of the setup off Brendan Poole's car. Did you do that, or did you use your own?
We actually unloaded we raced exactly how we unloaded. That right rear shock mount really threw us through a loop, and that's why we were so far down on the practice sheets. I knew we were going to have a good piece. I just didn't know how the cautions were going to fly. And last year we finished second The cautions didn't fly in our favor, and this time, fortunately, it did.
What was it like inside the car today?
It was hot. It was hot for sure. We had a long green flag run there, and it was definitely hard to pass some of the lap cars. Mason was in front of me for a really long time, and I couldn't get by him. Every time I got close to him, we had a lap car, getting between us, and it just took that much longer for me to get by him, and it just worked out in our favor today.
And you got a pretty good dent in the left front fender. Where did that come from?
I don't know. We passed so many race cars. I don't know if it came from a lap car or a lead lap car. So we had a really good day.
Billy Venturini brought 4 cars here to Madison. Why did this one win? What happened here?
Well, Justin's got the most experience. Well, Brandon's got a ton of experience too, but Justin really runs well here. He was great here last year.
Finished second last year.
Yeah, and honestly, we've probably been the best or the second best short track car at every race we've been to with this race car. It's been fantastic all year. Probably should have won Lucas Oil with it, but we got it today. Justin drove fantastic. I think that that truck race on Thursday morning helped him. I think it helped excel him as a race car driver. He did a great job. He just did. He's terrific to work with.
It's tough enough to bring 1 race car to every one of these ARCA races. How do you manage to bring 4 race cars?
Well, we just have a system. I mean, they all came the same. We set them all up the same. They all come with the same shock package, same everything. So if we kind of go with what we believe is the best, and that goes on all of them. And it helped yesterday because we got lost in practice. We had a part failure, and we were able to go off our notes from the other 2 cars that were pretty good. And it was awesome today, and we end up in victory lane. I'm just proud for Justin. I'm proud for Zaloot. Just great to get a Toyota back in victory lane.
And yesterday in practice, Boston said he knew there was something bent or broken on the car, and he nailed it. Rick?
Good thinking on Justin Boston's part, certainly, and good work by Billy Venturini, the Venturini Motorsports team, and their driver, Justin Boston. Second win of the year, second career victory for that driver as well. We've talked a lot today about the Identical movie coming to theaters September the 5th, starring Ray Liotta, Ashley Judd, Blake Rain, and others, and we want to let you see a little bit of what this movie is all about. Looking forward to seeing The Identical, theidenticalmovie.com if you'd like to know more. Opens in theaters nationwide on September the 5th. Kyle Benjamin, one of the stories of the day, Dr. Dick Bergeron, runner-up finish for the driver of the 37. All right, some technical problems there. Dr. Dick Bergeron's audio. We'll try to get that solved for you and hear from Kyle Benjamin, get his thoughts on a runner-up finish here today. Let's take another time out at Madison International Speedway. When we return, plenty more of the stories of today's Herr's Live Life with Flavor 200.
Last year, Kyle Benjamin won here at Madison. This year, he came with a brand new car with a family team and got only 10 laps of practice. The car was not all that fast in practice, and you started 27th. How'd you wind up second?
Well, actually, the car was pretty fast in practice. We wound up there because we didn't get qualifying in, but we made it up to second, and it was really tough. We got our left rear cut down by lap car there early on in the run, and after that, we came in and made some adjustments on it, helped the car. Big thanks to Kevin Reed for making the right calls in the pit box. I don't think we had the car at the beginning to drive up to second. We did after that. But we made our way back up slowly, and I'd like to thank my dad and everybody that worked really hard getting this car here. It wasn't easy, and Roush Yates for giving us an awesome motor to run here.
I'm looking at this car, and just about every corner of this car is bent. How rough was it out there for you?
It's always rough. You have to come from the back, but it's still fun. It's always eventful.
Now where do you go? You got the family team. Obviously, you run very well first and second here at Madison. Are you going to be able to finish the rest of the year, and what about next year?
We're going to be able to finish the rest of the year. We got Salem coming up in the ARCA series. We're actually, before that, we're going to go to Dover and K&N car, so that should be interesting. I'm not sure what we're doing next year, though.
These youngsters, I'll tell you what, they'll run anywhere, anytime. Rick?
Well, Kyle Benjamin, very impressive again today. Andy Hillenberg coming from 27th on the grid with no owner points, effectively racing his way up to second spot.
Yes, there are a couple of great stories to go along with our winner, Justin Boston, with Brandon Jones, Tom Hessert, and Kyle Benjamin coming up from the back of the pack. Well, that was neat to watch, and how they did that all throughout the day.
No question about it. Of course, heartbreak for Grant Enfinger first, and then Mason Mitchell. Enfinger, we heard the gears let go, and you thought it was transmission, probably not rear end. Mitchell bad battery and no spare. That's hard to imagine.
And the story there is when they broke so close together, with Grant leading the most laps, they should actually leave here with the same exact 25-point battle going into the next week's race at DuQuoin.
Unbelievable. 4 races to go to settle the championship in the ARCA Racing Series here in 2014. Next week, the Mile Dirt in DuQuoin, Illinois. Frank Kimmel with a good finish when all was said and done. He was third in points. He'll pick up some ground on the 2 leaders. We'll come right back. More to talk about in Madison. Back live at Madison International Speedway, the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. The Herr's Live Life with Flavor 200. And we show you our top 10. Your winner, Justin Boston, his second win of the season, both on short track, second career victory. The 37 of Kyle Benjamin in second spot, Brandon Jones in third, Frank Kimmel and Tom Hesser, your top 5. Second 5 wrapped up by John West Townley in the 15. We'll show you the next 10. Down in 14th and 15th, your 2-point leaders. Late problems both for the 98 of Enfinger and the 98 of Mason Mitchell, the points leader, and the 90 of Grant Enfinger. And as Andy Hillenberg mentioned a few moments ago, pretty much a points wash. The gap will stay 25 between the top 2. Now with 4 races to go in the 2014 ARCA Racing Series. Back downstairs to Dr. Dick Berggren. And still some audio problems, it appears, for Dr. Dick Berggren. We'll get those resolved for you and speak to him in just a couple of moments with some of the stories in the top 5. And Andy, it was a day when we had the 2 dominators, the 90 and the 98. Enfinger and Mitchell have problems. We saw some of the other drivers who were around the lead most of the day come back and really be key players in this down the stretch.
Well, a few happy ones at the end, but a double dose of heartbreak there with 30 to go with the 2-point leaders, Grant and Mason. But, a couple great stories with Justin Boston picking up his second win. And like I say, the drive by the youngsters from the back of the pack, it was fun to watch.
Brandon Jones in that 4 car gave us such a great show in his first ever ARCA start back in July when we were with you here on the CBS Sports Network at Winchester Speedway in Indiana. Kind of body slammed Mason Mitchell to take that win in turn 4. Mason pretty frustrated. Today Mason doesn't see the checkered flag. Brandon had a shot at second spot, couldn't quite get the job done.
Yeah, he got a good run on Kyle Benjamin there for second, but settled for third, and probably was a smart play because not as much wiggle room as they might have had at Winchester.
Frank Kimmel, the 10-time series champion, started the day third in points. He's still there, but he picked up quite a bit of points in terms of his gap behind the top 2 because they run 14th and 15th. Frank picks up 10 spots worth. That's 50 points. More to come from Madison.
Frank Kimmel started in the 3rd position. He finished in the 4th position. Right now there is the tiniest bit of shade here in the infield at Madison. It is offered by the crash wall. You look wasted, just pooped, are you?
Yeah, I got pretty hot. The air conditioner quit in practice, so didn't have anything to put it back in there. So the guys worked hard and got me a fan, but it's pretty hot out there today. But the Menards car ran really good today. I could see the leaders most of the day, except when Grant kind of checked out on everybody there in the midway through the race. But for the most part, I thought we had a pretty good car, just lacking a little bit of forward drive. But Mark Rett and the guys are doing a great job. We're getting better every week, so won't be long. We're going to be down the road a little bit.
So for a guy that has won 80 of these things but none in 2014, how bad do you want to win before this season ends?
Well, I really want to win. Not so much for me, but for these guys in Wintron. They've got a great program here, and they've been working so hard to get us back up front. So I think it's just a matter of time. We're going to get there and just keep working. And if we keep finishing the top 4 or 5, we're going to get there.
Never give up. Rick?
Frank Kimmel, a guy who knows the importance of never giving up, and that was certainly one of the keys here today, Andy Hillenberg. That's how we got Justin Boston in victory lane. Points championship in the ARCA Racing Series with 4 events to go now. We'll show you the top 10. Grant Enfinger still chasing Mason Mitchell. The gap still 25. We mentioned Frank Kimmel picking up about 50 points, give or take, on the 2 leaders here today. Still with an outside shot, but it's pretty much a 2-man championship with 4 races to go.
Yes, it is, and I can tell you from being in that position before, you don't sleep very well. I mean, that you want to see that advantage 200 if you're the leader, but it's definitely on with just 25 points. I can tell you for a fact they're going to be hard to sleep here in between each of the next races.
And in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, as we mentioned, one of the cool things about this series, compared to some other national stock car championships, championships. It's contested on every type of racetrack there is except the drag strip, I guess. We've got a dirt track coming up, a short track, and 2 speedways.
Yes, all coming up. I mean, they're getting another shot at the dirt after coming off Springfield last weekend. Another short track, which Grant Enfinger won the spring race at Salem, and then off to 2.5 miles. So big diversity still at the end of the schedule.
You've got to be strong in all sorts of facilities. We talked a little bit during the broadcast today when the cars were under green, how good Frank Kimmel's been historically at dirt. He's got to be licking his chops heading to DuQuoin.
I think so there and Salem both. Those are his 2 best chances to win this season, and I know Frank doesn't want to get shut out. I mean, you never want to get shut out, but with all this going on here over the course of the year, building up to this new team, they're going to be tough at the next 2.
Of course, we saw quite a battle here today for a while between Enfinger and Mitchell, who lined up on the front row according to owner points, with qualifying and a lot of practice rained out here one day ago. So plenty of stories to talk about as we think about these last couple of weeks of the ARCA Racing Series season in 2014. If you're Enfinger, if you're Mason Mitchell, both drivers had opportunities today to think, man, I got this one in the bag. It's heartbreaking when you have equipment failures, but it is part of racing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, Grant summed it up, like a champion. So, and I'm sure Mason's reaction is, pretty similar to Grant's. But, this is going to be one that they're going to look as getting away, those 50 points getting away from them all the way up until next week at DuQuoin.
If you're going to be the champion in this series, you can't let that happen over these last 4 races of the 2014 season. It's been a lot of fun to bring you these ARCA Racing Series events live this summer here on CBS Sports Network. We certainly look forward to being back with you hopefully next year. We hope to expand our schedule. It's been a treat to be a part of this once again. I want to thank my on-air partner Andy Hillenberg for a fun ride over these last couple of races, and our good friend Dr. Nick Berggren. Also want to thank Todd Lewis, who was with us on pit road, the inaugural broadcast for us back in Elko, Minnesota, back a couple of months later. For Dick Berger and Andy Hillenberg, our entire Carolina Productions Group crew, I'm Rick Benjamin in association with ARCA. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Next up, the Youth AAA, Triple SA Baseball Championship. We'll see you next time.